Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles Challenge. I'm Allison Peterson, and we are on like day 8 of the Coaching Cycles Challenge, and I have seen so much progress already from coaches sharing how they've been able to kickstart their coaching cycles in just a few short days. I can't wait to hear from you and what you've got going on. So definitely say hi in the comments, introduce yourself, let me know that you're here, and we're going to talk a little bit more. I can't wait to hear how you have been able to use some of these strategies that we talked about last week in the challenge, and some of the challenges that we put out into the group. So I'm so glad you're here. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how you enroll teachers into coaching cycles. So the challenge will be for you to start taking conversations and turning them into meetings, and then meetings turning into cycles. So this is going to be really, really helpful for you tonight. I'm going to give you kind of a little word by word script of how to walk into a conversation with a teacher and walk out with a meeting. So I can't wait to tell you all of the juicy details. So how is everyone out there tonight? Welcome to the challenge. So glad you're here. So glad you're here. Megan from Utah, Liz from Texas, Alana is here. Hi, Facebook user. Sorry, I can't see everybody's names if they don't pop up. Hey, Stacy from Illinois. How are you doing? Okay, I've seen some familiar faces. I've been talking to members who attended last week live and who caught the replay, and they've been telling me a few things. So I want to hear from you. If you were here and you've been participating, tell me what has been most helpful for you, or what have you been able to take away from the challenge so far and use in your coaching like right away. I'd love to hear if you have something. But what I've heard from some coaches who have been jumping in to the challenge with us here is that the conversations that we talked about last week, the idea of having casual conversations with teachers, being intentional about using conversations as a strategy, has turned into coaching cycles for some teachers. So I mean, for some coaches. And so that has been so exciting to hear, that it really seems like a small thing. Go and have more conversations with teachers, do it in person, but it actually is a game changer. And it is a huge part of what we're talking about here in the Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles Challenge, which is the organic approach and the organic coaching cycle, trying to make things more natural, more organic for the work that you're doing with teachers. And it ends up feeling more organic for you as the coach and for the teacher. And who said this here? Petra said, find the runners. Yes, chase the runners is one of our hashtags. And it's really one of the things that we talked about last week, is that when you are trying to figure out where to start, if you're a new coach and you just got this thing started, and maybe the first couple of months have been like crazy overwhelming and you haven't had a chance to start a coaching cycle yet, somebody might tell you that you should go and start a coaching cycle with a teacher who is resistant and needs improvement and those types of things. But that teacher is going to be hard to start a coaching cycle with. And so instead, start your coaching cycles with the runners, the willing teachers who are ready to try something new, who are ready to jump in with you. And we think sometimes that they're not out there, or that they don't need any help. But last week we talked about how we used to be runners in the classroom. And what we wished we had was a thinking partner, someone to give us feedback, someone to be our brainstormer, someone to work with on things. And that's what we actually want. And so the teachers that are out there who are the runners are actually really seeking you as a coach, and you just don't even realize it. So I love that. The runners is a huge breakthrough of the coaching, of the Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles Challenge. But what I really want to ask you is, have you been already doing it this way? Like, I think one thing that I hear a lot from coaches, and I heard this in the DMs this week too, was just like, I just feel so validated because I feel like I've already been doing this, but I felt like I was doing coaching cycles wrong. Like, did you get that feeling? Like, you felt like almost that you weren't following the script or following the format of the coaching cycle, and instead you were being more organic. You were having conversations with teachers. Things are just kind of like naturally happening. And you felt like you might have been doing that whole thing wrong, but instead you're realizing like, oh, So it's okay if I'm doing it this way. It's okay if I'm trying to enroll teachers in a natural way. It's okay if this is how I've been doing it. And I really hope that those of you who are like feeling like I've been doing it this way, but I thought I was doing it wrong, or just really feeling validated and like this is a way you can continue to break through with teachers, and it's worked with a few and you can keep going with that. So Alana says, yes, I feel like I have been doing this and it's been working. And so I think we can go from doing it literally organically, because maybe you're really good at building relationships, you're good at having chats with teachers, taking that and making it actually very intentional and giving you the steps to realize that like your organic conversations can be turned all the way into coaching cycles if you know how to get it there, if you know how to take it from a conversation to a meeting. So listening for opportunities to start organic coaching cycles, absolutely, like just listening for those in conversations, being more keenly aware and intentional about what that looks like. So I love that. Those are so great. I just don't even call it enrolling. No, we're only calling it enrolling between us. So we know what we're doing as coaches, but the teachers really aren't even aware of all the process that's going on behind the scenes. When we're doing it this way, it just feels like the natural next step to them. So Alana also says, I just document it as a coaching cycle. That's right. And you can. And so that's the other thing that sometimes happens with this idea. And I'll put this up here because like the organic coaching cycle, it doesn't have to be formal to be effective. It is still a formal coaching cycle in the fact that if you have to document things for your district or for your principal, it is something you can track. And just like a regular coaching cycle, I mean, you're going to have a pre-conference meeting. You're just not going to call it that. You're going to have a classroom visit. You're going to have all these steps. And so it's easy to document in the formal way that you need to. So it doesn't have to feel formal between you and the teacher for it to be effective. So that is really the shift that we're making here with the organic coaching cycle. And with the idea of kickstarting your coaching cycles, we got to start somewhere, and we got to start somewhere where we have teachers who are ready to work with us. So love that, Michelle. Hi, friend. Love this. It doesn't have to be formal to be effective. Yes. Okay. So that is where we're going tonight with the organic coaching cycle and the pieces that we have talked about so far. So let's do this. Let's recap a little bit so we remember where we left off, and we're going to pick up from there. But I love hearing how you are feeling about this approach. So if you have more thoughts, drop them in the comments. Be real active in the comments. Love to see those. Love to put them on the screen. Love to have everything you got. Share your part of this as much as I am. I'm just the one up here chatting with you. Okay, so one of the things that we talked about last week was the target. Okay, so we have a lot of things on our plates as instructional coaches. And often before we even know what this job is, we have more things to do in it than we realize, right? So we've got all these things and we didn't really even know what these things were going to be. And we just walked into them and we kept saying yes to the things, right? You kept saying, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll do that. I'll help with that. I can do that. And you are a runner. Remember, you're a runner teacher. Now you've become a runner coach, and you are good at things. And so you can knock things out and get them done. But what happens is that we get a little bit caught up with some of the things on the outside of the target. We get caught up in building the PDs, or having to run PLCs, or having to do all the other duties as assigned, or having to be the testing coordinator, or whatever it is that is on your plate. And what we don't get to is the coaching, one-on-one coaching. And like we talked last week about what a coaching cycle is, but really what a coaching cycle is just a protocol, just a way to do one-on-one coaching with teachers. It's just a process for that. But what we have to get to for our work to be truly effective is the one-on-one coaching. And the reason that we have to get to the one-on-one coaching is because change actually happens at the individual level. When you are trying to present PD or do whole group things, you can teach teachers something, but the transfer rate is low from them to go to PD to classroom implementation. And so what we get to do as coaches is we get to be and help teachers bridge that gap right there from the thing they learned in the training to how they would actually implement it in their classroom. And that is when we start to see the actual change in actual practice happen. And it really takes this level of support, friends. Like what happens is that if a teacher is left to figure it out on her own, she will probably run into problems, like all sorts of little problems, not big ones, maybe little ones. And she will try to fix them herself. And she really needs that brainstorming partner. She needs someone to go, how else could I do it? Because this is not working the way I'm trying it. And that's when the coach really has the ability to support. But if she's left on her own, the teacher may not stick with the change because she hasn't had anybody to help her think through how the change could actually work in her own space. So if we want to see change happening in our schools, in the classrooms, and the bigger change that we want to see in things like data, school-wide data, we have to be working at the individual level with the teacher. And I think sometimes we are pulled so many different directions. Please confirm me on this. You are pulled so many different directions that you can't get to the one-on-one coaching. And so what we're working on, this is what we're working on, you getting to the one-on-one coaching. And here's why, because this is our phrase that we use here in the NewtoCoaching group, okay? If change is the goal, progress is the win, okay? If we want to see change happening in our classrooms, in our schools, then we have to realize that progress is how you get there. And friends, this is my soapbox that I'll try not to stand up too high on. But I want to encourage you. I want to encourage you. The real reason that I do the Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles Challenge is because I don't want you to give up. Like, I know how hard this work is. I have been doing it for 10 years. And every year I'm with you when I think it's probably time to quit. Okay. If you've had that moment this year, like drop it in the comments. You've had the moment when you're like, I can't do this anymore. I'm done. And you haven't even started yet. And you're like, I'm done. Okay. This work is difficult. It is hard. And you didn't come out of the classroom. You did not leave your sweet students so that you could come into this environment and just leave everything the same. You didn't come to this because you were going to leave it status quo. Like you're cool with that. No, that's not what you said yes to this job for. You want to make change happen. That's who you are. That is a unique quality of you. I really get out of soapbox about this, friends, because I believe you have a unique quality that you don't even realize is unique. You are actually designed for this work and you didn't even know it because you're like, I just took another job and I just thought I wanted something bigger. You are a change maker and that's really exciting. But when you get into the work and you're not seeing change happen fast enough, you may feel discouraged very quickly. But I do not want you to quit. I do not want you to go running back to the classroom, friends, not before you've given it a chance. And if you don't know how to do this right here, if you don't know how to realize that if change is the goal, progress is the win, then you will keep looking for change and not realize that you should be looking for progress. And so I need a hashtag progress is the win in the comments, please, because you've got to start reorienting yourself to what am I trying to see? And when I'm working with teachers one-on-one, I want to see progress in one single classroom with one group of students with one teacher. And that is change, but it is just one step of progress towards change. And so when you start shifting, when you start making this mental shift and looking for progress instead of change, you will start to see change. You will start to see it. I promise you that you will, because it will be evident. It will be that one teacher who you're working with and you saw that she adopted this new practice or added this thing, or her kids really got it. And it'll be that moment where you're like, yes, I just got to do the real work. I got to do it. And I don't know, maybe for you, PLCs is where that happens. Maybe for you, PD is where that happens, maybe. But let me tell you where it really happens. That moment where you're like, yes, I got to do the real work. It's in one-on-one coaching with a runner specifically. But you can have that same feeling with the teacher who you have worked really hard to build a relationship with too. So progress is a win. Thank you, Haley. How are you, girl? Okay, get a cough. Excuse me. Hold on. All right. Did I get on a big enough soapbox for you? Are you good now? Are we ready? You're ready for the learning now? Okay. So I see you in the comments. Jump in there. Tell me your thoughts. So last week we also talked about every conversation counts. So I want you to really lean into those conversations. We're going to talk about a strategy for a follow-up conversation today. But I don't want you to lose sight of, again, progress is the win. Little conversations with teachers add up to doors being opened for you to start coaching cycles. So see the marbles in the picture, the marbles in the jar, one marble at a time, builds relationships, builds trust. And next thing you know, you've got a jar full of marbles. And that teacher is wondering when can you come by and see me? Because I need help with da 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 da. But it takes time to build these relationships and get these doors open. Okay. So we also talked about how PD is going to be more than just PD. If you are using professional development whole group sessions, you can do this with PLCs too. But if you're utilizing PD sessions, you can use them to funnel, to take the idea of like bring everybody into a PD and then funnel somebody through the funnel all the way into a coaching cycle. So when you have that PD, you can funnel a teacher through that. You have a whole group of people, but you want to get just a couple of teachers to go from a larger group into being in a coaching cycle with you. So it's about taking PD and making intentionally a way for you to follow up with teachers and turn those conversations from PD into coaching cycles. So we're going to talk about that tonight. So when you are thinking about PD, if you have whole group PD that everyone is doing, you can work off of that. Like required PD is definitely something you could work with. But what you could also do is design an optional PD. Now, I know this doesn't work for everybody's environment, but if you design an optional PD, you can invite teachers to come. You can invite all the teachers, but you can have the perspective in your mind of realizing I'm not looking for everybody to show up. I'm just looking for the runners to come. And so you can have 30 minutes after school. You can do a lunch and learn. I've seen a couple of my Breakthrough Circle members have done, and we've seen this with like the PD and a pumpkin, like just deliver something. They call DoorDash PD. I've seen that one. So like deliver something with some QR codes to some videos of you teaching something. It doesn't have to be an in-person thing. The key is getting them to opt into it so that they will be interested in kind of the next step. The trick to the PD approach that we talked about last week is the exit ticket. So using an exit ticket at the end of your PD will help you to get some information from teachers about what they want to do next after they learn something at your PD. So I actually have a story about this because we had a PD this last week. We had this random Wednesday PD/conference day. And I didn't end up presenting the PD. We had somebody from the outside come in and present a little session to our middle school teachers. It was short, but it was really great. And it was about a specific strategy called PALS reading, where basically students pair up and they read aloud to each other, and there's a protocol in it. And so the presenter came in and she showed us how to do it and she modeled it for us, and then we got to do it. And so then we were the ones, and I was across from a middle school teacher, and we were reading to each other and we were going through the protocol, like read to each other for 3 minutes and then stop and reflect and then read to each other, that kind of thing. And I didn't get to host this PD, so I wasn't leading it. So I didn't have an opportunity to do an exit ticket with it. But I was able to, with my intentionality, to realize that like this is prime. Like this strategy that they just learned today during this very short, quick PD is primed and ready for someone to use it like tomorrow. So at the very end of the session, I just stopped and we were kind of starting to close it up. And I was like, hey, just, in case anybody wants to use this strategy, I just want to let you know, I would love to partner with you on that. I would love to help you think about how you could use it in your classroom. We could troubleshoot some ways that your kids may need to partner because they had some questions about partnering boys and girls in middle school. Is that going to work? I said, if you want to troubleshoot that, I could work with you on it, and I can come and I can be in your room while you're doing it so that you could, you could have somebody else in there with you. So just let me know if you want to do that. And that's not as ideal as like an exit ticket, but I did at least throw it out there. Hey, let me know if you want to work together on this. Well, right there at the end of the PD, one of the teachers was talking about this, and she was the math teacher, but this is like a reading strategy, right? And she was like, well, and she started talking to me about it, and we were chatting, and she's definitely a runner. She's totally one of my runners. And she was like, I think I could use this in math. And I was like, you could definitely use this in math. We could come up with a way that you could use this in math. And we just chatted it out right then and there. And I was like, hey, why don't we go ahead and get a meeting on the calendar and we can meet about this next week during your planning? And she was like, yes, like trying to capture how she wanted to use that right away. And then asking her, hey, let's go ahead and meet about it. I'll help you think through it. And so if I had done the PD myself, I would have done the exit ticket. But at least this week I knew, do not leave the PD without trying to connect with teachers about next steps. They could walk off and leave and never do this in their classroom, ever. But if somebody is there to help them, to bridge that gap for them, to say, oh, I'll come think through it with you. And no, this is not a math strategy, but we could make it a math strategy. Let's do that together. That is when I am always trying to be mindful of that. So when you have the opportunity to take an exit ticket, you're asking them questions that they're writing on a note card or filling out in a Google form. You're asking them questions about what they want to do next and how either how you can help, or what are they thinking about, or what did they like about the session that they want to take to their classroom, something that is their takeaway. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take that strategy, that exit ticket, and we're going to turn it into a conversation where we follow up with them very intentionally to turn it into a meeting. So I kind of did it organically after the PD. But if you have the opportunity to take an exit ticket, then you can do this next step. So let me show you these steps here. So if you have a PD and you then take an exit ticket, these are the steps that you can do afterwards. And I have taught this for multiple years now, and I have had coaches use these steps and tell me how well this works. And I can tell you myself that I've been using these strategies for 10 years now, and it works. Okay. I'm going to tell you all about how you do it. Right. It's like a little script. You might need some notes for this part. You're going to write some things down. Okay. Or come back and watch the replay again. So you take the exit ticket that you did on a note card, and you go ahead and review the exit ticket data. Okay. So maybe you had a whole group PD, everyone came. You can sort some things out and just pick out some runners that you would think would be a good one to follow up with. So definitely pick 2 or 3 who you're going to intentionally follow up with and go and try and get a meeting with. And then you can put some others in another pile for like second round of follow-ups. But if this was a small PD, which was like a lunch and learn or 30 minutes after school, and only 3 people showed up, then you'll go visit all 3 of them. So either way, it works. Okay. So you review your exit data, and then you decide who you're going to go see. And you take a look at their schedules. Take a look at your teacher's schedules. And, if it's middle school, I know that they have these periods off. If it's lower school, I know when they have, in my elementary, they have their time period. So I take a look at their schedule, and I want to know when they are free. And I want to know when they are free on a pretty regular basis. So are they like, my teachers have pretty stable planning periods, they don't change. But I know I know at other schools that I've been at, the schedule rotates or whatever. So something that can be pretty consistent, if you can nail it down, something that could work for you to meet with this teacher, but also for you to meet with this teacher regularly. So when you're looking at her schedule, you're looking at yours too, and you're like, okay, I'm usually free on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, and she's free on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. That could work for both of us. Okay. So you're looking for that kind of predetermined time that you could possibly meet. Then you are going to casually drop in on her. I'll tell you about this part in a second, all the steps. You're going to casually drop in on her and follow up. And your goal is to go into this follow-up you're going to go in for a follow-up and you're going to come out with a meeting scheduled. Okay. So here's what it looks like. This is like, okay, let's establish who we're talking to. We're talking to a runner teacher. Okay. This is not a resistant teacher. This is the one who is going to be ready for the next step. The other thing I want to establish is that all of the touch points that you've had with this teacher prior to this moment of asking her into a meeting have already established your working relationship with her. You might not have gone all the way into a coaching relationship with her yet, but you have invited her to the PD. You've seen her at the PD. You've connected with her there. You've seen her in the hallway and you've chatted with her about that. And now you're going to follow up with her and see if we can take this whole learning from the PD thing into a deeper dive into a coaching cycle. Okay. So it's going to feel very natural and organic because of all the work you've done leading up to this moment. So when I describe this conversation with you, do not be like, Allison, that'll never work. Okay. Because not only will it work because you've already put in the relational marbles in the jar for this moment to happen, and it will not feel awkward. Okay. Sometimes we're a little worried about going into this conversation because we're like, what if she says no? She ain't going to say no. And if she does, then you'll be like, okay, let's try again next week. Like, it's going to be okay. All right. So I know when I'm going to go see my teacher. I have my exit ticket in front of me and I know what she wants to work on. And I go and I see her and I go to her classroom during her plan time. Okay. Now, first of all, be careful about that plan time. Oh, I'm also taking with me some kind of thank you for attending the PD, especially if it was an optional PD, but really you could, any kind of candy, card, something that you're going to drop. Okay. So you're going to be able to drop that on her desk. It helps to have a reason to come in the room, but it works. It works either way, even if you don't. Okay. So you're going to come in and you're going to say this first. Okay. So make sure you get this first. You might want to write it down. Remember, note to self. If you're walking into her planning and she doesn't know you're coming, then you need to immediately say, hey, I just want to drop off this quick thing for you. I have a quick question for you. I won't take up any of your time or much of your time. Okay. So you want to go ahead and tell her right away, you're not here to stay. This is not the meeting. Okay. This is the follow-up that's going to get you the meeting. Okay. So you are just looking for the in, and you're trying to help her see you're not about to take her 45-minute planning because she needs to run copies and go to the bathroom. Okay. So you walk in and you tell her, thank you so much for attending my PD. I just wanted to bring you this little treat. And I saw on your exit ticket that you said that you wanted to work on your next writing unit. And I am so excited about that. And then you ask her, what were you thinking about that? Or what have you been thinking about that since the PD? Be careful about that question. Ask her so she'll answer and you guys have a little conversation, but don't take it and turn it into like the meeting right there. Okay. So just ask her like a quick, like, what have you been thinking about since that? Or what are your students doing next with this writing unit? Tell me a little bit more. And you hear a little bit more about that. And she'll say something like, well, we're going to start it next week. And I think I'm working on persuasive, whatever she's talking about. And you're listening and you're so excited. You're so excited about what she's saying. It's so great. And you're going to just say, oh my goodness, that all sounds amazing. I would love to work with you on that. Do you want to schedule a meeting next week? Do you want to sit down together next week and we can look at that together? and we can use the new strategy from the PD, bring that in. You don't even have to say schedule a meeting. You can just say, hey, do you want to sit down next week? We can look at that together and I can help you plan and we can use this new strategy we've been talking about. Whatever that is and however it fits into the conversation, you just connect the dots between what she's about to do or what she's thinking about to how you can come and help her use that strategy. And we can sit down together and look at how that could work. And then she'll be like, yeah, that sounds really great. I'd love to do that. And it's funny because you're like, she's not going to say yes. Because of the work you've done with her, she will. Okay. So it works. I promise. All right. So yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to do that. And before you send her to her calendar to figure out like what time we're going to meet, you're going to say, oh, I looked at the schedules this week and I noticed that you have Wednesday at 1:00 off, right? Isn't that your planning period on Wednesdays? Yeah, it is. Oh, Wednesday next week works for me. Do you want to meet next week on Wednesday? I think that'd be great. Yeah, actually, next week, Wednesday should be fine. It's a week away. She's like, that sounds great. Okay, fine. Okay, great. Well, I can't wait to hear about what's going on with your writing unit. And I'll see you then. And then you leave because you came in for a follow-up and you wanted to leave with a scheduled meeting. And you don't need to do anything else at that point other than be like, I can't wait for us to meet next week. I'm so excited. And then skedaddle and when you go, do a little dance on the way out because you just scheduled your first meeting of a coaching cycle. And she thought that sounded like the most natural thing that we should do next anyway is follow up. And of course we would talk about this because I just came to your PD and it sounded so great. And yeah, I want to use that strategy. And next week sounds great. Sure. You already knew my schedule. All right. I need your thoughts on this and this conversation. And what about it feels like something that would be a good fit for you to use. So when you're thinking about this, it's really just about the organic touch point. When you have the opportunity to meet with her in person, instead of sending her a follow-up email, the whole thing is just different. Like a follow-up email of, hey, do you want to meet next Wednesday? Would have probably been ignored. Just being honest with you. She's got way too much stuff to worry about whether or not she has time next Wednesday. But when you stop by to see her and get excited about what she's doing with her, of course she wants to partner with you. It is the natural next step. So this strategy of following up from a PD on that exit ticket will get you to the first meeting. And that first meeting is really the place where it's, this conversation has gone through all of this, and now it's actually time to start working on something together. And the rest of the process is going to start dominoing from there because the conversation is going to naturally lead itself because you already have a strategy you're working on. Now you guys are going to work on it together and you'll decide what it is that you're going to work on together. And then you will decide from there how you're going to hop into her classroom and help her while she executes it. And you can be a partner in the classroom, not just sitting back, observing her, but instead helping her execute it somehow. So, okay, what topics might work well for these short optional PD sessions? I'm so glad you asked. There are several options, but this is going to be one of our challenges this week in the group. So I'll share a few things with you, but I know we are going to crowdsource some amazing resources from the NewtoCoaching group this week on this question. So if any of you have done a PD like this before, drop in the comments what you have done because everyone wants to know your ideas and things that you could do. And then others who have tried these things, we will have them share them in the challenge this week. Okay, so it'll be the challenge post that will go up tomorrow is share your PD ideas. Okay, so a couple of ones that I've heard recently or that have worked for me. Okay, I was a technology coach for a while, or for 3 years in the beginning of my coaching career. And even though I'm now an instructional coach, I will use technology tools as a way in often. So If a teacher is looking for a certain strategy and we know that we have a technology tool for that, I will invite teachers to come and learn about this tech tool. Tech tools are like safe and not as intimidating, like most teachers, but runners will usually show up to learn something that they haven't used before that they think will be useful in their classroom. So think about inviting them to learn a new tech tool. A book study has been a huge hit with some coaches in the group lately. So if you want to invite them to reading a book with you, and don't be discouraged if that's only a few teachers who say yes, because that could be a really robust coaching cycle that could go long term. Some of the other topics that have been shared in the group, are just any and everything about some kind of really specific focus. So Michelle Rui did one called Pop-Up PD, and she brought popcorn after school and she taught everybody about how to do strategy grouping. So you can, whatever your teachers are working on or they need a little bit more help with, you can offer this extra session on it. I've also done make and takes. Those are really fun too. So you can, if you're elementary and you have teachers who are creating centers or rotations and they need math manipulatives or activities to do or reading activities to do, you can prep some of those and then invite people to come to those. And let me tell you the fruitful conversations that'll come out of those. So you will come up with lots of ideas. So we'll definitely crowdsource more. But those are just a couple that popped off the top of my head. Okay, so here's this. I love this strategy and it works so well with runners. It also builds trust when I tell her I'm only going to stay for a few minutes and then I actually leave quickly. Sometimes I even set a 10-minute timer on my phone. Yes, you got to be careful because she will be excited to talk to you about this. And so you want to be mindful about taking the whole planning. And what you really want is the booked time with her on the Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And the reason for that is because this is going to become an ongoing meeting. Okay, so this is going to become your coaching cycle meeting because at the end of the Wednesday at 1 o'clock meeting, you're going to say, hey, do you just want to meet again next week? We can just meet next Wednesday, same time. And it will be the natural next step for you to meet with her again next week. And you'll do it in the same time block. So you don't want to turn the follow-up conversation into a meeting because you really want to get that booked time, that Wednesday at 1 o'clock, that can be Wednesday at 1 o'clock next week and the next week and the next week. And you're not necessarily going to enroll her and say, hey, we're going to start an 8-week coaching cycle, but you might meet with her for 8 weeks in a row if that is what the conversation requires. And you keep saying, hey, well, you want to just meet again next week? And she'll say, yeah, that sounds great. Can you come back? And then, on Thursday or Friday, can you come to my class in between? And then we'll talk about it. So the coaching cycle process, the debrief conversations, those things happen in that weekly meeting. So that's how we create kind of that ongoing flow. Using math games to differentiate instruction, high yield math routines, using formative assessment to drive instruction, math fluency, so many ideas. Thank you for asking about that. So many of my coaches right now are loving building thinking classrooms. You could take a chapter out of building thinking classrooms, invite teachers to come learn about building thinking classrooms, and just do one video and one chapter. I did that with with some of my teachers, and it was such a huge hit and it was such great conversation. So think smaller than you're going to teach them something so big. You just need something that's going to take 20 to 30 minutes and get them to show up. And if you can get them to show up, then you have already started the coaching cycle process with them. Why not ask your teachers what they're looking for in PD? Yes. Okay. So another thing you can do is create the surveys, right? Create a survey, ask teachers. But I would also, before you send out a Google form survey that maybe nobody will answer, try to use this as your way to connect with teachers in conversations. Walk down the hallway and catch teachers and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing a PD. Just something short and useful. What is on your mind right now that you would really love to learn about? ask her in person. I promise you'll get a better response in person than you ever will on a Google form. But send a survey if you're a district level coach or you're a little bit further away from the teachers in like whatever setup you have. Maybe you have multiple buildings or something like that. So it's okay if you can't go talk to them in person, if you're not a building level coach, but definitely ask them. How many coaching cycles do you typically have going on at one time? This is a great question, and I get it a lot. I would love to hear y'all's answers about what you think you can manage. Because I function my coaching cycles in weekly meetings, like I was just talking about, I can usually manage like 3 or 4 at a time that are like pretty robust. But I can have, it just depends on the intensity of the coaching cycle. If I'm being real intentional with a teacher about a weekly meeting and then a classroom visit each week, then that is the more intensive one, right? Weekly meeting, classroom visit, weekly meeting, classroom visit. That's a lot on my calendar. So that's like the 3 to 4. I can manage that. But I have several teachers that I just plan with every week, and I'm working with them on the planning, but I don't always add the classroom visit. And that I can add a few more of those. So, and then sometimes I make it like every other week for those planning meetings. So I'm not seeing them every week, but I think if it's going to be intensive and you're getting into the classroom too, then 3 to 4 sounds like a good place to start. I would start with 1. But when you're trying to juggle a lot, then, once it gets to be too many. So, okay, love that. Other questions or things that you want to add to this conversation about PD topics or things like that? Let me know what you're thinking there. Okay, let me give you this resource. You definitely want this one. Okay, I'll have to drop it in the comments. I'll suck it. Maybe y'all can do it for me. When you start heading into the first meeting with teachers, and honestly, in any of your conversations, you can use these questions. But if you have not yet read Michael Bungay Stanier's book, The Coaching Habit, you want it. It is a great read as a starting point for really for organic coaching, because I have gotten so much from reading his books. But the idea of this book is literally that you can coach in 10 minutes or less. That's his like tagline. And what that's all about is that trying to make every conversation that you have with teachers into a coaching conversation, looking for every conversation becoming a coaching conversation. And the book is so helpful, but it is not specifically about coaching teachers. It's just about coaching in general and a little bit more of like coaching the like business, like if you are a manager and you're coaching your people. It's still really, really valuable though. So don't throw it out just because of that. But what I've done is I've taken these questions. He has 7 questions in the book, and I have done a video about them. And I've created like a PDF download that has all of the questions like kind of tailored to how instructional coaches might use them. So I want to give you this and make sure you have it because it's really handy. And you can print it out and you can learn about this. And then you can print out, there's like a 1-pager of all the different questions, and you can kind of just have it with you. Just like bring it with you, keep it handy at a coaching meeting, and use some of the questions to move the conversation forward. So if you're feeling like you want more guidance on how to actually coach the teacher in the coaching meeting, in that first meeting, and coach her towards a student-focused goal, and then lead her through a debrief meeting, those are some of the things that I have in the NewtoCoaching Club. So I do want to tell you about that too. So thank you for dropping that. Okay, so there it is there, newtocoaching.info/questions. You can download the PDF, and there's a video that you can watch where I talk through the questions. Let me look at this. That was our plan to have a book study on that book, the Building Thinking Classrooms book, I think is what she means. Doesn't want our teachers to be overwhelmed because of new math standards. I decided the first 2 strategies of the book and expect them to implement, and I observe This will jumpstart my coaching cycles. I started sharing the strategies today at PLC meeting. So again, yes, that's perfect. I'm so excited about that for you. You can use PLC meeting as a follow-up. Don't forget to take the exit ticket from the PLC meeting. And then also do not get frustrated with the teachers who are resistant. Go after the ones who are interested. Even if you're not sure how interested they are, if they're showing interest, go follow up with them and ask them if they want to learn more. So building thinking classrooms will rock a teacher's world a little bit if they're not used to that model. So go slow and go after the runners, because if you can get the runner to try it in her classroom and you can help her get it going, then she can become a model classroom and you can take the other teachers to go see her. So like, don't worry about the ones who are not interested or mind blown by this whole thing. Go after the runners, chase the runners, and let them use that. Okay. Our district is providing impact coaching training. Okay, so let me show you, if you, we're almost out of time here. So I want to show you what you can do to continue learning about what to do when you get to the next step of the coaching cycle. Because if you are trying to get into, sorry, let me do this while I can't talk while I'm doing this. If you're trying to get into the next steps of the coaching cycle, if you're trying to get to the first meeting and then setting a goal, and then how do you get into the classroom visit? And then how do you do the debrief conversation? I have tons of content around all of that in my Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles course. And what I have done is I've put this into the NewtoCoaching club. I'm going to go back up to the top. This is the NewtoCoaching club. Okay. It's a new thing that I've added so that you can have access to the things that you need to go deeper with some of the content that we work together on here in the group. So someone says, can you remind me what a runner is again? A runner teacher is a teacher who is willing to start working with you, excited about a new idea and trying a new strategy. And she usually is very driven to do things on her own. But behind the scenes, she wishes that she had some support. Now, you can have veteran runner teachers, but you can also have new teachers who are runners. But they're basically your teachers who are most willing to start working with you. They're your early adopters, okay? So in the NewtoCoaching Club, you have access to my 2 online courses. So this is kind of like a welcome video here. And then each month there is a member perk that is specifically access only inside of the membership. And then here, this is my I'm a New Coach Now What course. And so this is over 20 videos that's going to guide you through how you can get started as a new coach, how you create your coaching role graphic, how you work with your principal. So those resources are there for you, how you introduce yourself to faculty, how you build relationships with teachers, how you set goals. But then there's also my Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles online course is in here with the full like 25-page workbook that goes along with this content that we've been talking through here. And these are all the videos. So there are about 20 videos, maybe more in here. And each part of the phases of the coaching cycle are in here. So here's part 7, ask questions in your first coaching meeting. And then part 8, how to find a student-focused goal. And part 9, how to create a weekly rhythm. How to partner in the classroom, how to listen longer in your debrief conversations, and how to celebrate progress. So I walk you through the whole organic coaching cycle and give you even more insight than what we talked about here in the challenge. You have videos for how to track your coaching cycles. And then these are probably the most awesome videos in here. And these are the interviews that I've done with other coaches who have, used these strategies and they've worked for them. So like Vicky shares her DoorDash PD and all the resources that she used for those. Ricky shares her PD that she did with, I don't remember if that one's the one where she did the lunch and learn, but she works with secondary coaches in that one. I'm pretty sure that's when she did the lunch and learn. And then Casey has her collaborative studies, and Michelle Rui talks about her pop-up PD. So there's like several videos of examples. And then in the club, you also get access to replays from the NewtoCoaching group. So If you are wanting a little bit more to just dive further into how to do these coaching cycles, how to actually have the conversations once you get the teacher into the meeting, now what do you do? Now, how do you converse with them about that? All of that is in the NewtoCoaching Club. So I want to make sure that you know about that. Let me put this banner up here. So this is my membership that is only $15 a month, friends. Like, it is the price of a book. Okay. If you get in there, you get access to all the videos that I just showed you. Okay. So if you haven't gone ahead and become a member, it's really, really worth it. And right now it is open until Wednesday of this week before it shuts down for a little bit. And when it opens up again, the price will be going up. So if you want the early bird price of the $15 a month locked in, I really would recommend that you get in here now. So the NewtoCoaching Club is where you get all those access to the self-paced videos. There's a great app where you can download all the videos, or not even download, but download the app, see all the videos on your phone, consume them on your own time. It's all self-paced. And if you are looking for even more, I offer one-on-one coaching inside the club. If you can add that on when you join. So you can join the membership for $15 a month, and then you can add on one coaching session with me, and I can coach you through how to get started with your coaching cycles or work through something that you're struggling with coaching cycles. So I really want you to get this started. I want you to feel comfortable and break through with coaching, because we talked about at the beginning, like, if you are doing the coaching work with teachers one-on-one, you will absolutely feel like you are making the difference and the bigger impact that you really want to make. And I think sometimes we get so caught up in the whirlwind that we are not able to get to the work that is the real work. So y'all tell me what has been most useful for you tonight. Drop that in the comments. And let me know what you're going to walk away with from this. What has been useful for you? What can you take with you? This week, we will be continuing the challenge in the group. It's going to go through Wednesday. Okay. And tomorrow's challenge will be how ideas for Kickstart PD, because there, like I said, we're going to crowdsource all the awesome ideas. And then some of the ones that have already been shared in the NewtoCoaching group, I will try to collect those. But we've had, pumpkin PDs and a lot of different coaches coming up with some really creative ideas. But the key is using them, whatever you come up with, using it to funnel into the coaching cycle conversation, using the conversation we talked about tonight to go from, hey, I think I want to learn this, to, okay, so do you want to work together? Because I would love to help you with that. And that can really be the turning point for you when you can start really actually getting over the hump and starting meeting with teachers. And if you start doing one-on-one meetings with teachers, you will start to see that progress. You'll start to see how you can break through. You'll start to see the progress in one classroom with one group of students, and one change that really made a difference to that teacher and her students. And you'll see that small change happening. And then that progress will start adding up, and it will add up, and it will add up, and it will add up. And then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh my goodness, change is happening. And I'm just going to give you some more encouragement. If you are a first year coach, which many of you are, you are on year one. Year one is difficult, friends. Like, even if coaching has been established in your school before, year one is hard. But all of the work that you're doing to develop relationships and put marbles in the jar and have some conversations and work with some runners, all of that doesn't feel like progress yet, but it will when next year starts. I promise you that the progress that you are working towards right now will feel like full-on change come next August or September, whenever you start, because you'll have done that work of building the relationships, and you'll have gotten a few coaching cycles under your belt, and you'll have seen the change happen, and teachers will trust you a little bit more, and things will start to actually change, and you'll start to see teachers changing their practice or trying something new, and you'll start to realize, like, okay, this is worth the work. This is hard work to coach these teachers. It is and that doesn't change. The hardness of this job does not go away. What changes is how you perceive what's going on around you. If you can start seeing that progress is the win, then you will start seeing that change is actually happening everywhere. And if you will do one coaching cycle with one runner, you will realize that you can celebrate progress for her because she broke through and she had a breakthrough and she made an impact in her classroom. And you can celebrate you and the coaching that you got to do. So as we round up the challenge this week and we finish it out, I want you to feel motivated. I want you to feel excited. I want you to go after those coaching cycles and those teachers, chase those runners, and catch a runner, and make sure you ask her if she wants to go into a meeting with you, and then turn that into a coaching cycle. And like I said, if you want more help on how to go from that first meeting request and like say, hey, do you want to meet with me, to leading that conversation, turning that into a student focused goal, getting into her classroom, and then leading that debrief conversation, and then making it a weekly meeting that you can keep coming back to. All of that is in the NewtoCoaching Club in the Kickstart Your Coaching Cycles online course. So I'd really love for you to get in there before Wednesday, because that's when the club will close for a little bit, and the awesome low price of $15 a month will be going up. So I definitely want you to do that and get in there. So are we ready to wrap up? I am so excited to have spent the evening with you. I am so glad that we have done the challenge together. Please know that I cannot wait to connect with you. So post in the NewtoCoaching group. Send me a DM. I am actually answering the DMs. It's me. It's a one-woman show over here, okay? So check in with me. I will answer questions for you if you have them. I will link you to a resource if you need it. I want to make sure that you are breaking through in this role, friends, and that you're not giving up on it, because I believe that the work is worth doing if you know how to get there, and if we can actually make it fun by making it more organic. All right, friends. Loved seeing you tonight. Thank you for being here, and come join the club so we can hang out. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.